Hey there, hey yo, bet you weren't expecting a call-in show with a leftist dude who's gonna talk to people on the right and let them tell him how they think he's wrong. That's why this is such a good song. We're gonna do a pretty short call-in show because after this, Arden and someone named Mama Mustapha is going live on the line, but if I want to come over here and do a little warm up first because I'm bored. What's up, everybody? Oh, I gotta start moving some things. Let's see. Let's fudge this title up a little bit. Let's fudge it. Hi, welcome everybody. Good to see you people. A little unexpected call-in show going on here. Let's see, which one is this? This one is the big title or the little title? That is our little title. I'm gonna put MAGA is the worst at governing. And then for the big title, we'll put call Hey MAGA prove me wrong. Call the number right there, 33654-32101. The weirdest thing happened in the lead up to going live, like really weird. Literally not 90 seconds before I hit live, meaning nobody knows I'm actually going to be live, except Arden, I guess, but it wasn't Arden who did this. I called Arden a little bit ago and was like, hey, what time are you guys going live? All right, I might go live because I'm a little bit restless right now. I'm frustrated with a lot of things happening. I want to get some words out there, debate with some people, talk to some MAGA folk if they're around. In fact, let's go ahead and find out if y'all are here. Any MAGA? Let's see, who's MAGA? And we'll just write me and not me in the poll. We'll just start that poll real quick. Very, very weird. No one knew I was about to go live, but like 90 seconds, 90 seconds prior to going live, randomly and weirdly. Oh, I see that too. My audio is kind of low, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know why that was set to, it's not going to do that thing again like it was that one stream where it kept just taking its volume down over and over again. That was so annoying. I don't even remember what the fix ended up being either. No, all right, it's not. All right, audio's back. So far, we have nobody in the chat polling that they are themselves MAGA. MAGA, call in, prove me wrong. 33654-32101. 33654-32101. 90 seconds. 90 seconds prior to going live. No one knows I'm going live. A phone call comes in. And it was from a 502 area code. If anybody here 502 knows what 502 is and can tell me what is 502? If somebody wants to look it up for me real quick, that'd be great. 502 area code calls, and I didn't answer because I was like, all right, well, the auto screener will screen. By the way, if anybody does call, please speak very clearly to the auto screener because I don't have a call screener today either. But yeah, 90 seconds going to live. Nobody knows I'm going to go live. Nobody knows I'm even thinking about it. We don't do it on Fridays virtually ever. And so no one knows I'm going to go live, and yet a phone call comes in. And now I'm just so curious about who that was. 502 is Kentucky. So, you know, higher odds of it being a MAGA caller too. I got to assume it was somebody who maybe was trying to get the voicemail, because there is a voicemail. You can technically call when the show's not live and get the voicemail. Let me see if we have any voicemails. Maybe I'll listen to some and respond to them. No, there's no voicemails on that right now. All the voicemails that we have at the moment are on the other channel. The last one, September 28th. Okay, well, can't even understand that one. Anyway, so yeah, right now, look, I'm looking to talk to anybody who can prove to me that MAGA is good for this country. Anybody who wants to defend that things are good. By the way, 100%, and I might go on a little rant here. There will be an extended rant on tomorrow. It's probably going to not release till tomorrow or late this evening, but we just recorded The Line as a podcast. Alyssa and I did. Talked a little bit about it. Anybody who thinks that the shutdown is the Democrats' fault, one could argue it is somewhat their fault if you go with a long-term game. In other words, we can actually track some level of fault back to Obama, everybody settling for just government subsidies, no public option, no longer-term funding, all of that kind of stuff. And ways in which under Biden, they didn't sufficiently extend out funding for subsidies. So the fact that we are in a precarious position is certainly the Democrats' fault. But the fact that the government is shut down is the Republicans. And it absolutely is the Republicans for two reasons. One, Republicans hold all the levers of government right now. They hold the presidency, they hold the House, they hold the Senate, and they hold the judicial branch. They hold the Supreme Court, which means that the Democrats have basically no leverage. So of course, if you are going to come to one of the few spots they have leverage at, the Democrats are going to go, we have no other leverage. And some of the fucking shit you guys are doing is insane. So right now we absolutely have to utilize our leverage. But also Donald Trump's out there bragging that the government is shut down. Seems delighted by it as people's livelihoods are getting wrecked by the fact that, by the way, just so you know, it costs more to have the government shut down per day. The cost per day goes up, shut down, despite the fact that you might think, whoa, but all those workers, they're furloughed, we're not paying them. No, the cost goes up because we owe them back pay, and then we have the recovery from the government being shut down, which ends up costing extra. So what's the logic and the science for this? This is absolutely 100% on the Republicans because the Republicans have so much power. They are overextending and doing so much. And right now are trying to do radically crazy fucking shit. And so if you're a Republican, you want to call in and argue with me about this and tell me I'm wrong, I really hope you will call and explain it, because what we are at, and I would love someone to call in with the claim so we can discuss that the $1.5 trillion they are asking for, as the Republicans say, for illegal immigrants is wrong. $1.5 trillion for illegal immigrant healthcare, that's wrong. I dare you to call in. Call in and explain to me how it's wrong. That phone number again there, 33654-321-01. 33654-321-01. Call in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it right now, and you explain to me how that $1.5 trillion is wrong. On top of the $1.5 trillion that they're talking about, there is an expiration of subsidies for Obamacare, that if these are let to expire, and it should be in this funding bill that they are extended, 15 million people are going to get kicked off of Obamacare, right? Off of ACA care. They are going to lose their health insurance. And then the remaining people are going to have their premiums double. It is still unclear whether or not it would only be people who have subsidies, but it's basically because these subsidies have expired, we have to double your premium. So now you will actually just pay the premium we needed because we're not going to be able to get the credit anymore. We're going to have to cover it. So, and yeah, it looks like we'll see what the auto screener is, and we'll have to do a little bit of introductory stuff when people come in here. We've got a person who's going to call in, and I'm excited to talk to them about it. But if you're going to tell us that these things are wrong, but then also turn your back on when actual citizens are going to lose their health care, and by the way, the Republicans' response is just pass us a clean bill and then we'll negotiate. No, you won't. Why would you? And why would you negotiate in a way that they talk about how like a good negotiation is when both people end up walking away upset. But you have all the leverage. So if they don't use their leverage right now to guarantee that the subsidies from Obamacare, which again is not an adequate solution, but it is better than any alternative the Republicans are going with. If they're going to not extend those subsidies and negotiate after, it would be, we're going to walk away delighted and you guys are going to walk away off like hat in hand feeling awful. They have no leverage otherwise. So of course it has to be on this. No, you extend those subsidies and they'll probably cave and it'll be something stupid. Extend them until next year, right? Until we just do all of this again in a year. because that tends to be what happens is what's a minimum solution and a minimum amount of time. And then we'll pretend we're going to be ready to handle this next year. But, that's what we're going to see. That's what we're going to find out. But let me jump in first and let's go ahead and take calls because we don't have a ton of time today because we are going to let Arden take over with her show. But we have a caller who wants to talk about the 1.5 trillion. So let's do this way. First thing first, caller from the 848. First things first, what should I call you? What is your first name?
Justin.
Justin? Justin. Okay. And Justin, I'm pulling up my title editor here to make sure that I'm getting everything in there. Justin, you are calling in from what part of the country?
East Coast.
Did you say East Coast? Your audio is very bad. Are you driving right now?
Yeah, I am driving, yes.
Okay. If you want to continue the call, you do have to pull over. We don't take calls while people are driving because if an accident happens to you, we could potentially be blamed for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are you able to pull over and stop for a minute? We can improve the audio anyway.
Unfortunately, I'm not. I can't.
Okay. All right. Well, if you get somewhere before the show's over and you can call back in, but we're going to let the call go there for the moment.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, no worries. All right. So if somebody wants to take Justin's place, Justin was calling in about the 1.5 trillion, the one that Republicans say that $1.5 trillion is going to go to funding illegal immigrant healthcare. And if you can call in and tell me why it is wrong for that $1.5 trillion from the $4 trillion pot to be cut, as I think Justin was going to be restored from the $4 trillion cut that they did already, you call in and you explain it to me. We're going to talk about the details, the accuracy of all of that, and you will have to explain it to me. But he isn't able to because he is driving. We don't accept drivers. So call that number 33654-32101. In the meantime, let me go ahead and pull up another caller who I don't think is calling to defend that, but we'll find out what they're here for. Caller in the 206 area code. First things first, caller, what should I call you?
You can call me Christian Jimmy.
Christian Jimmy. I assume you mean I can call you Christian and you were saying my name's Jimmy.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
And then do you want to provide your pronouns? He, him, she, her?
He, him.
Great. And what part of the country or the world are you calling from?
Calling from Washington.
Washington. And are you calling to debate or a general topic of discussion?
I was going to give you a general topic here. Offer up something to hopefully bait some MAGA to call you.
So you aren't yourself MAGA?
No, not myself. I have a lot of family that are, so I hear their arguments regularly. But if you're looking for just MAGA, because I know you're short on time, I can dip.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a caller on right now, so you can certainly present your topic. We're waiting for a MAGA person to call. Just go ahead and put another call out to them. 336-543-2101. If you think you can defend that $1.5 trillion that Republicans are claiming is going to illegal immigration healthcare should not be restored, that $1.5 trillion is wrong and that the Democrats are wrong for holding up the government to get that restored, as well as the ACA subsidies, you call in right now about that or any MAGA topic. I would love to talk to MAGA people and have you tell me why I'm wrong about MAGA and how poorly they are governing the country right now. But anyway, now that we have that out of the way, what topic were you wanting to present there?
So I was going to say that Trump is good for some of us, but not all of us. And specifically, he's good for the billionaires while screwing the rest of us probably forever. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the same position I have. And as far as some of us goes, I don't even think billionaires consider themselves one of us. Because when you think about what us means, you're talking about at the most broad level, like Americans, those of us in this country. Meanwhile, they are American in as much as they have business here, pay taxes here, but a sense of American, that this is the land I live in. These are my people and community. They fuck off to countries all over the world all the time. And they spend a lot of their money making sure that they don't have to mix in with the average American. This is why they become so jaded, why they think such dumb things about picking themselves up by their bootstraps. I going to be honest, and maybe this will be another thing someone can call in and tell me I'm wrong on. If a person's position, I'm not saying yours, Christian Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'm saying if a person's position is that he's good for us, but the only us he's good for are the billionaires, I actually don't consider the billionaires one of us anyway. So I wouldn't, categorically, I would reject, not to be pedantic with what you said, but categorically, I would reject that that's any type of us. These aren't my community. These are people who spend a lot of money to stay away from my community.
No, totally get you. Actually, if you've ever seen the Some More News bit on billionaires, they talk about specifically how extreme wealth and
you cut out there. How extreme wealth? What?
Really bad. Can isolate a person and can actually lead, especially in the case of like Elon Musk, accruing so much money that he then believes his way is correct and the only way that we should go. And that's something that I think we are seeing large scale across our upper class right now.
I do want to say to Old Driver in the chat who has put in a criticism of me, call in. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you just said, because I have a contention with it. But do call in right now and let's talk about it. I'll be peaceful as long as you're not a dick. And as long as you're not actively driving right now, because it did say your name was Old Driver. Old Driver in the chat, if you're willing to actually stand by the point you've made in the chat, call in. Let's have a discussion about it. Because I think what you said is kind of absurd.
Come on, Old Driver.
Do it. And they're not even MAGA. They're I don't know. I guess they might be MAGA, but your point. I'm not even going to repeat your point unless you bring it on air. Because I would way rather discuss for that. To anybody who's trying to call in using the web caller, know that we generally do not take national calls, domestic calls, unless a person is, and so I think you can hear me there in the chat. The person who's trying to call in with the web browser. Generally, if you are doing that, we've been doing call-in shows for 6 years. There's not a single complaint that we ever abused having somebody's phone number, called them back. The only thing we've ever done is turn threats into the FBI. So Ed, who's waiting from the web caller, you need to call in using the phone because this is our anti-trolling technique. The phone number is up there at the top, 633-654-32101. Again, 33654-32101. Call back with that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're there just to yell slurs or whatever. Ed, I think you can hear me. I think I've got the show audio going to you. So go ahead and hang that up and call back on the phone. I do enjoy calling you Christian Jimmy, I'm afraid. Christian Jimmy, where did we leave off?
We were talking about, I think, extreme wealth isolating the rich and leading them to believe they are the right way, and specifically, well, if they have a Christian leaning, then they are the God-chosen right way.
Cool. Old Driver, now I think you're a coward.
I think you and I probably both agree.
For the record, Old Driver, you're a coward, whining that you're going to go watch another stream. And by the way, if that leftist that you prefer doesn't also prioritize healthcare, which I know he does, since that is what this is about, but you're sitting there whining because it's technically on the side of the Democrats, you are a coward, and the reason you're calling in is that you're on a team, but you don't actually know why you're on the team. You chose the team. You can't actually defend your values or the reason behind it. So you have fun going and watching that person, a different person. I like him enough. You go have a good old time. But if you grow a spine and want to actually test out whether or not your theories of things are better, and I get it, you need to go somewhere that you're not going to feel called out because you're a coward. Yeah, Christian, I think we're mostly on the same page on this one. I'm going to probably bring Ed on and tell him to call back using the phone here in a second. But
gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Christian.
Absolutely. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Trans rights are human rights.
Thank you, Christian.
We'll talk to you later.
See ya. That number again is 33654-32101. If you are MAGA and you feel like you've got what it takes that you can throw down, I want to hear from you. Let me just quick talk to hey, Ed, I'm seeing that you're calling in from the web browser. Generally, if someone in America does that, that means they're calling to yell slurs or troll and just don't want to have the responsibility if somebody, if they do something that's bullshit and we need to report it to the FBI. So we would like you to call back using the phone number 33654-32101. Can you do that for me, Ed? Ed, I can't even hear you if you're talking. Tap your screen, Ed. Got to wake your phone up. Oh, all right. Not there. It looks like he's calling in from a different one now. Ed, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You there?
Yeah, I need you to call back using the phone, not an IP address. We don't let people call in from America using a web caller because it usually means that you want troll anonymity. And we reserve the right to be able to only talk to people that if you try to threaten our lives or whatever, we'll report to the FBI. So if you wouldn't mind, just hang up, call back 33654-32101.
I don't have a phone on me at this second, but I can assure you that I'm not a troll.
Well, you sound like you're doing an impression of Bill Clinton, so it's surprising that you're saying you're not a troll.
Man, everybody tells me that I sound like Bill Clinton.
All right, Ed, you're on thin ice. Hey, what kind of VPN service do you use, Ed? Let me ask you that.
It's ExpressVPN.
And are you using it right now?
I can turn it off if you want. I mean, it's not a big deal.
All right, you go ahead and you turn it off and call back from the web browser. So I have your actual IP address.
That's no problem. Hey, hang on a minute, Jimmy. I can probably turn it off right this second.
Yeah, but it won't change it on my end until you call back.
Okay, I'll call you right back.
Thank you, Ed.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Ask him about Epstein. Did the coward leave? Old driver? To the coward who has a lot of things to say about leftists, but his activism includes watching leftists. Oh, man. Coward. All right, well, while Ed does that and calls back, I guess I will tell you what he said above and why it was so dumb. And that was, let me see if I can find it. It was essentially, I can't find his message, but it was essentially, for a leftist, Jimmy sure does spend a lot of time defending Democrats. And if that's your point right now on the shutdown, it's because you're not paying attention. You're like real dumb. Because right now, I don't give a fuck about the Democrats. I give a fuck about what we are holding it up over. Not going to blow the load now over why the 1.5 trillion is good to spend. That 1.5 restoration. I'm waiting for somebody from MAGA to call in and challenge it. But it has to do with healthcare. And the other thing it's being held up for is the ACA. So I'm defending that 15 million Americans should not be thrown off of their healthcare, and that an additional tens of millions should not be losing their healthcare or having their premiums doubled. But anyway, all right. Let me pull this on. Hey, Ed, I got to tell you, that still looks quite VPN-y. Did you actually turn it off?
Yeah, man, I turned it off. Is it?
All right, I'm going to try with you, Ed. I'm going to try with you, but just know you're on thin ice. You're calling from what part of the country?
I'm calling from West Virginia.
All right, that at least adds up. And then I'm going to pop here. You're not far from D.C., I reckon.
Nope, I'm not far from D.C. at all.
But you have to avoid it, right? Because it's war-addled?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it's looking right now,
huh? Oh, you're right. Right now, it looks a little bit more war-addled, a little. But anyway, let's do it this way. Let's start a little more formally. Ed, in West Virginia, you are on the line with Jimmy Snow, and we are here to talk about MAGA. Are you yourself MAGA?
Well, I mean, I'm MAGA adjacent. I'm a little conservative.
Okay.
And I heard you talking the other day about crime rate and
sure.
which states have the highest crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I thought it was just. I mean, I wouldn't say it's disingenuous, but it was to me. It left out a lot of the bigger picture.
I agree. I actually agree. If we get down to the myopic city, state, or even state level, we do get rid of the. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You're not going to like my solutions, though.
Okay, I'm open to hear it.
Great. So what first do you contend with?
Okay, I contend with the fact that the red states that do have the major crime all come from Democratic cities. And
so you're saying at the state level, the governors are failing to address, but you would like to blame it on the cities who actually have, they only have city level. So in other words, let's say Chicago has a problem with gun violence, but the guns themselves are coming from surrounding areas and even surrounding cities. The mayor of Chicago can't do what the governor of Illinois can do, since the governor actually can affect both the laws that affect the cities surrounding as well as the borders. But I'll go even a step further. The governor, while needs to be doing that, also can't do the shit that needs to be done by the president and by the Congress. That in fact, the mayor is the person that it makes the least sense to blame, because the mayor has the least amount of money and the least amount of power. The governor has more and deserves more blame because they have more money and more power, and statewide have the most power. But the people who deserve the most are the Congress and the president, which right now all red, but that doesn't put the blue off of the hook for other times. How's that for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. But it's like every single city that has the major crime is coming from, from a Democratic-led mayor.
And why is that?
It seems to be, really, it seems to be a poverty issue. It seems to be a cultural issue.
What do you mean by cultural issue? You're quite right on poverty. And in fact, when it comes to crime has two main associates: poverty and proximity. If you put a lot of people in a small area, crime goes up. If you put poverty in a place, crime goes up. You do both, they go up exponentially, right? A lot of people and a lot of poverty in a small area. Now, what do you mean by cultural? What is the cultural thing that is happening that is leading to crime?
By cultural, I would say that it is where redlining had taken effect for so many years. Now we have a culture of black people who are disenfranchised, have been put into just a place where education isn't prevalent, where job opportunities aren't prevalent. So it's a cultural of the downtrodden, as I would say right now, and
so who's to blame for that?
Jesus Christ! I mean, we would be
He's
going
in there.
We would be going all the way back to the 50s.
Great. But who's today to blame? Who needs to make the changes? Where do we affect the systemic changes? Are you, because you said you're conservative adjacent, you're addressing a lot of the right points. You're saying it's poverty, it's things that go all the way back to slavery, but then also through redlining. It's the way this country has treated this group of people. Obviously, I hope you understand, it's not just black people, that crime goes up across demographics, but where poverty is higher, it is higher. And also where places are policed more, the appearance of crime is higher. If you actually police other neighborhoods, especially poor neighborhoods of other demographics, you find that it equalizes out. And not to mention that rich people just don't have to worry about. You can buy your way out of even the crimes that you are committing. So that's where we are. So now you said you're conservative, you're addressing these problems, you're getting it right for the most part. Like where it's coming, where the poverty's origin is. Now, what's the solution?
I actually think that there needs to be more policing in these neighborhoods. I don't think that's the answer.
Is that your number one answer, though, Ed? Ed, you're saying the poverty problem is not the problem of the people who the crime is happening because we know.
No, Jimmy, go ahead.
What would you
do?
You're saying more policing is a part of the answer. I'm saying absolutely not. That's crazy. And in fact, increased police presence often leads to more because it now is an incitement. It's now of a, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of soldiers in here, but we're not going to improve conditions in other ways. We're not going to work on the solution. We're just going to work more on making sure that more of you are going to prison to engage in slave labor, thereby building more resentment, by the way, toward the government, increasing crime. So what actual practical solution for addressing the needs these people have to get out of poverty are you going to go with? Not how are you going to punish the people that you're mad are committing crimes?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a weird case because I am conservative, but I also have a lot of social leanings that include universal health care,
good,
common sense shit that would help uplift the impoverished, and that I think that would change a lot. But like I said, at the same time, I think we have a fundamental disagreement on just how to combat what's going on today.
Great. How would you combat it?
And like I said, I think that there needs to be more police in these areas. I think that.
But you just acknowledge that doesn't police. Okay. If you have an area that is having a bunch of cancer outbreak, let's move to health. Okay. You got an area and there's a lake and there's a bunch of chemicals being dumped into the lake. And as a result, a bunch of cancer is breaking out in that community. So you send more doctors to handle the cancer, right? So we've already done that. We've already sent that. And we're still seeing, there's still a lot of cancer here. Why you're suggesting the solution now is more doctors to treat more cancer. And maybe there's some version of that, but maybe you don't actually need just more doctors. Maybe you need more nutritionists, like social workers. Maybe you need more therapists. Maybe you need more public education on how to avoid chemical exposure if that's the cause of it. You're sitting here going what we need is more cancer treatment. And I'm saying, why aren't we actually focusing on the origin and reducing yearly the occurrences of the cancer, and we're just throwing cancer doctors at it, which this is the most generous police metaphor ever to suggest that they're the equivalent of cancer doctors. That would only be the case if some of the cancer doctors thought they could beat the tumor out of you and that certain people deserve the cancer, but based on race, who deserves the good cancer treatment and who deserves the bad. It's very generous, but you get the metaphor anyway. I'm saying let's treat the fact that there's more cancer. You're saying that let's just keep having more and more cancer and throw more cancer doctors at treating it after.
I get the metaphor. I mean, and it makes sense. And I'm all for social investments, housing, jobs, education, addiction treatment. But what do we do in the short term for violence that's going on in Chicago? I mean, it's literally a war zone there.
It's not a literal war zone. In fact, this is a thing I ranted about on the podcast earlier. People will see it tomorrow. It's not a literal war zone. There is more violence and there's more poverty. It only looks like a war zone because the military has been sent there. But the right has completely bastardized this concept of, it's hard to take y'all literally and seriously when you say that. And Portland, the blue-haired lesbians are really just out there having war in Portland is the gayest, weirdest fucking place in the country. And now we're meant to believe it's also a war zone, which today it was called a violence. What was it? Carolyn Levitt said war-riddled Portland. So Chicago and Portland, but y'all were talking about the war on Christmas back when Biden and Obama were on. Y'all's use of the word war is ridiculous. It just gets so silly. It's not
Jimmy, come on. There's a war on Christmas. There's a war on there's a war on everything.
Yes,
right.
and I'm saying it's a dumb phrase to use. It's being overused. There was a war on drugs. We lost it. Drugs won. Not only did it win, we were we're going to go fight a war on drugs, but pharmaceutical people are going to be able to give anybody they want drugs way worse than marijuana. But if you're black and you got an ounce on you, you're going to go do fucking slave labor. So now back to, what are your solutions? And you're asking me what the solutions would be, right?
Right. I mean, I told you, man. I think that policing, but I also think that, like I said, social investments, like, housing, jobs, education. I think there's, we should have treatments for, addiction centers, that type of shit. But in the meantime, while the war term is completely overused, I do think that it aptly fits what's going on in Chicago right now. I mean, that's the place is, it's terrible right now. I mean, there was like an 11 point some increase in crime just in 2023.
Yes, but these are numbers relative to the crime prior. You hear a jump like that, and then when you turn it into the actual numbers, they're much, much less impressive. When you're asking what the solutions would be, you're identifying some of them, and there's a lot more. It's going to be massive investments, changing the education structure, that it is not based upon property taxes, because then that obviously fucking sucks for people who don't pay property taxes, who are renters mostly and the like, and in places where the properties don't have high values for the long-term, because of the long-term effects of redlining and the way that redlining is still happening today. It would mean massive investments. It would mean massive extensions of small business loans that are federally backed. It is equipping the communities with the same advantages that other communities have. And it's not like this is rocket surgery. They've done these things in other areas. For all the things that people want to shit on California for, California has turned around cities like San Francisco by extending massive social programs to it. If you're wanting to know, like, what do you do tomorrow? There's no such thing as a tomorrow solution. Republicans keep lying and saying there is, but the National Guard isn't improving these. Even stats-wise, they're not improving them. But even if you get a temporary stat improvement, basically the way it looks, it's kind of like the stock market. It just means there's a lot of stuff happening now that doesn't get reported, and people have learned to work around the new presence of these ridiculous people. If you don't get rid of the poverty, people trying to make their lives better despite their conditions doesn't just go away. People don't just go, nah, you know what? Now that the National Guard's here, I think I'll only eat 3 days a week. Right? Like, I'm just going to go down to starving. I'll just go down to, they just want me to be peacefully poor. I'm going to go back to peacefully poor.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get that. But you do understand that some of these fuckers are just demons that are living there.
Who cares?
In places like Chicago.
Who cares? What are you worried is going to happen? If they're actually demons, they're still going to be demons after, and now their community will have no incentive to protect them. Not that they have much now, but it's kind of like right now, who am I going to side with? The gang that treats my community like shit, or the police that treat my community like shit? Well, the gang that treats my community like shit might still inject money into my community, or the protection racket, all that other kind of shit. Like, you go and you fix those communities, and then whoever those people are, the predatory assholes who aren't going to change, go ahead, throw those ones in prison. Nobody has any lost love for the people who are actually monsters in their heart and opportunistically found their way to power in a poor neighborhood. Nobody's wanting to protect those people, but most people are going to go, hey, now that my basic needs are met, as we should do for every American, not just places like Chicago, we should meet everybody's basic needs on healthcare, housing, and eating. We should have everyone be secure in that way. And then we should also add education programs, because as we know, if you cover those four things, in other countries, every dollar you spend on that, you return multiples of dollars. Depending on where you are, it can be a few dollars, and sometimes it's dozens of dollars. Investing, it turns out, in your own people pays back dividends. Crazy concept, I know. So I just don't get the point where it's like, there's this tiny minority, represents less than 1% of those communities, that those people are horrible. So let's not help out the other 99%, because what if those 1% of people get access to education, get access to trade schools, get access to food security, get access to like, it's worth the fucking risk. Are we trying to starve them out right now? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, right. But do the mayors not bear a lot of the problem for not?
Where is the mayor going to get all that funding? Everything we are describing right now has to happen at the federal level, or at minimum the state level for states that have adequate income to cover it. Remember, red states already take more welfare. So if we're talking about fixing things like in Louisiana, red states tend to take more money from the federal government than they pump in. So even the possibility of them reserving their federal funds for themselves in red states, because red states are such welfare states, that money absolutely has to come from the federal government. Eventually it should even out if you're taking care of people because the investment is returned. But California is going to have to pay to fix, and New York and these states that Republicans all bastardize, they're the ones with paying in more than they're taking out. They're going to be the ones who have to pay to fix Tennessee, to fix Kentucky, to fix Mississippi, to fix Louisiana, these places where in the cities the crime rates are getting so bad.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, they get funding from, property taxes, sales taxes.
Yes, we have to fundamentally fix all of that.
So you are giving almost a socialist. Well, you're not maybe.
Ed, is this your first time here? Have you not seen my show before?
I've seen this. I've seen your show, but I've never I
am a socialist.
I haven't seen the politics.
But by the way, everything I just described doesn't require a socialist nation. You can call them social programs. You could absolutely, in a capitalistic society that still restricts the upper limits, just like we did in the past, where if you made past a certain amount, your tax rate could be 90%, 100%. Tax rates it's not 100% of all of your income. It's the income past the specific tiers. We've had that before. You would never say America in the past was a socialist country. We could cover all of that shit without becoming a socialist country. I suspect we would then still have huge inequities in our society, and therefore should go all the way. But I'm not even asking for us to become a socialist country overnight. I'm content with the transitional phases that will cover everybody.
Like a democratic socialism, like a Bernie type socialism?
No, if we're hitting socialism, I'm going way past Bernie. But no, we wouldn't even have to escape capitalism for just the things that in the short term we are. I will work. I said it on the show the other day. I will become a Gavin Newsom cheerleader if he does three things: stops bastardizing trans people, becomes pro-universal health care, like Medicare for all universal health care, and there was a third one which is escaping me right now. And he's by no means a leftist or a socialist, but these are my like, all you got to do to make me go like, look, overall, stop promising money to Israel. Those three things: stop funding the genocide, Medicare for all, stop bastardizing trans people, and letting the other side make us look as socially bankrupt as they are. And I'm good. I'd go with him. Ed, go ahead and give your last thought, because I only have 15 minutes left, and we have one more call in that I want to try.
Real quick, tell me how is Gavin Newsom bastardizing trans people? I have to know that.
He threw him under the bus when he started doing his little podcast and started bringing up sports issues and stuff. He made it very, very clear that he basically described going too far to the aid of trans people and started throwing them under the bus and wanting to exclude them from sports, wanting to basically kowtow more to these people who just want to make this a huge issue, when most people who are super pissed off about trans people have never even met one, because they are such a small group of people. But anyway, I really do have to move through, because we've only got 15 minutes left.
No problem, Jimmy. I'll take everything you said and I'll look at it. But I appreciate it. Thanks for the conversation. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I think this is Justin calling back. Hey there, Justin. I think you're calling back right now. You were the one who was driving earlier, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, good. But we're at somewhere good now. And Justin, I think you said you were I don't remember if I asked, you like he, him for your pronouns?
Justin's fine.
Okay, well, for the chat is why we ask. You're a cisgender man, correct? You're not trans?
No.
Great. And then what part of the country did you say you were calling from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Cool. All right. Well, we don't have a ton of time, but we'll hit it here real quick. Are you still wanting to talk about that $1.5 trillion?
I would like to actually talk about everything you were just talking to the current or the previous caller about.
Oh, man, we have 13 minutes left, and I really wanted to hit that. All right, go ahead. We'll see if we can fit in both somehow.
You were saying how that, let me ask you, Jimmy, what part of the country are you from?
I'm right now living in Texas. I live near Austin, but I'm in rural Texas. I've also lived in Colorado and Wyoming, Florida, Louisiana, and then you're in New Jersey. My family's from Levittown, Long Island. Okay.
So have you been out to these Democratic-run cities lately?
Yes, Denver is considered one of hang on, let me answer. Denver is one of the bluest cities. I lived there. And in fact, some people even describe it as somewhat socialist. The place in Louisiana I lived was right by New Orleans, went into New Orleans many times. I live, like I said, near Austin. That is a blue city, even though we're in Texas. And I just said Levittown, Long Island. You know where Long Island is? Of course I've been to these blue places.
Recently. For instance, you're talking about Chicago.
I can go to Austin today if you want.
Yes, but okay, let's talk about Chicago. You said Chicago's not a war zone, Jimmy. How do you figure when you have 70 shootings in a weekend, that's not a war zone? How would you depict a war zone?
I don't have to depict it at all. I can show you pictures of Gaza. I can show you the actual wars that America has funded, the genocides and violence that we have funded, the things where we pretend we're anti-violence, but what we mean is anti-violence against white Americans.
Jimmy,
I would describe...
I don't disagree.
Great.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. America has blood on its hands up and down from the start of it. So does every other country. It's not like any country is any different.
Justin, this is called whataboutism. Great. I condemn countries who do evil things too, but right now my taxes are paying for the Gaza genocide and a mostly symbolic political war on cities where they're sending National Guard people to have the appearance of being tough that aren't, again, as we talked with the other caller, sending police doesn't cure the cancer. It just sends more doctors to treat the cancer. And again, as an extremely generous metaphor, let's treat the cancer. So Justin, how would you treat the cancer that is?
Because I think that I don't think that metaphor works very, very well, because the way you break it down, it makes total sense. I agree with the way you said it. Don't treat the problem. Try to find a solution. But how do you find a solution? By putting more police into an area that's crime ridden, it's going to get rid of. Yes, you will have more arrests. I agree 100%. But you will be arresting the people that are committing crimes to get those people out of those areas, and allow the people, as you said, that 1% or 2%, whatever it may be, get them out of those areas so the people that live there feel more safe.
And then what will happen? Let's say we do that. Let's say we take a neighborhood right now that's addled with crime, and we remove all the current criminals, but we change nothing else about it. What happens? If you think it's utopia, you're naive.
No. I don't think that at all. Listen, I live in New Jersey. It is there. When you go north of the Raritan Bay, I drive in New York City almost daily. New York City is a cesspool. It is disgusting. The amount of lawlessness in that city is absurd. I went there with my family. I did not feel safe walking around Manhattan.
Yeah, meanwhile, the stats are against you. But yes, the amount of drug use, the amount of poverty, the amount of homeless people make people feel unsafe. By the way, whether they're actually unsafe, but again, if we remove the 1 or 2% of people that are causing all of that crime, I'll just answer for you since you didn't answer the question. The answer is a new 1 or 2% will pop up, because if all you do is remove the crime, but you don't make money come back into those neighborhoods, which arguably before the crime was doing, the people who are left behind will now be, first of all, a large number of them will lose the people who were feeding them, those criminals that you were referring to.
That's not,
and the area will remain poor. Crime is a product. Well, you can't say hold on when I'm mid-sentence, Justin. I was mid-sentence. I will let you get your question in a second.
You cut me off, though.
Crime is
as well.
Yes, that's great. Crime is a product of poverty and proximity. You weren't answering my question, so I was bringing it back to your question. It is poverty and proximity. If you don't solve those, crime doesn't just go down because you arrest more people. Now you may speak, Justin.
Okay, so to what you were saying, I wasn't finished speaking when I was saying it. When you remove those 1%, 2%, which is a lot higher in those areas, I believe, and I see it firsthand. You're in an area in Austin. Austin is not a crime-ridden city like Chicago or New York or any of these other cities.
Which I've already addressed. I've been to all those other cities you're talking about.
Let's speak about Flint, Michigan, for instance. Flint, Michigan, okay? It is absolutely crime-ridden, okay? There is no business. There's not even you can't even get a job in Flint because there's no business in Flint. Why? Because business owners can't be in Flint because they're constantly being robbed and stolen from. The crime is so bad there that you cannot have a successful business there because of the crime. So,
and how much of that, and how much of that, and how much are you, hang on, Justin, no, Justin, Justin, I am going to interrupt again because we have limited time and you are trying to go on and opine and just repeat Fox News points. So when it comes to Flint, Michigan, which we're moving to.
I don't even watch news.
It doesn't matter whether you watch it. I know where the propaganda comes from that eventually makes it to you through social media or whatever else. It's Fox News, it's Newsmax, and it's Stephen Miller. So if you're going to go with Flint, Michigan, how much of Flint, Michigan, because you are going on about something, repeating propaganda, and we don't need all of this extra opining because I'm just going to ask you questions. Jesus fucking Christ, Justin. You've already, if you will make it concisely, make it concisely, make your point now, concisely, and I will cut you off if you aren't concise.
By getting rid of the criminals that are causing all the crime, businesses will come back into the area, that they will start to flourish and they will provide jobs. And also, I agree, yes, there needs to be more social programs like vocationals and those things for these cities so people can uplift themselves. Teach a man to fish, not give him fish. That's not the solution. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get the crime out so businesses can come back in there and they can help the neighborhood flourish.
Great. Are you done?
You have to get the crime out.
See, I said be concise, and now you're continuing to just go on and on and on, and you already were making the exact point that I said you were making and was going to respond to. What you just described does not work. You have to address the poverty. Just getting the criminal doesn't, because there is that period of time where you're like, okay, now all the criminals are gone. You still leave a bunch of poor people behind who need to eat, who need to take care of their families, who need to take care of each other and themselves, and waiting on all of these. Oh my God, Justin, shut the fuck up, Justin. You don't get to whine about all of the interrupting I was doing, and you're not letting me finish a goddamn question. You aren't concise, and you won't let me speak.
Bro.
Shut the fuck up. What are you saying wow to? Go back and watch the call and watch the utter fucking hypocrisy here. I literally stopped and asked you to be concise. Shut up. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, I'll mute you because you can't control yourself. If you want to be heard and complain that you're not making your point, even though you had already made that point, and then just try to repeat it 6 more ways, by the way, completely ignoring the source of that crime, of that poverty, and how Flint was so fucking abandoned by its government that lead was running through the literal fucking pipes. And you're going with a place that because of that lead poisoning, you're going to see increased issues of people struggling with education, increased issues with, you're literally going with this hyper specific place because you think the stats are better to make your point, because there the overall crime rate is something like, 0.3%? It's let me find it. I know I've got it up here. Hang on. Flint, Michigan, crime rate, 33 per 1,000 individuals, 3.3% overall crimes, 14.7 violent crime, 1.4, which is high. But we are talking about still a very small sector of people and a place you can still feel mostly safe. And you're sitting there saying, throw more cops, fuck prevention. Fuck, get them out of there and then it'll go away. Get all the cancer out of the people who have the cancer right now, and no more people in the period of time when all those resources come. That will take a long fucking time. Nobody else will fill that gap of all the people with cancer, but the lake is still there. It's still making people sick, but it'll all even it out and it'll all be better. I am unfortunately going to unmute you and see if there's anything productive that can go in this last 3 minutes, but I doubt there is, because you are the biggest conversational fucking hypocrite I've spoken to since Calling It Now started. Go ahead, Justin.
Listen to yourself.
Justin, I assure you I'm listening to myself. Yes.
Going on and on.
Uh-huh. All right, so there isn't anything productive to get out of that. Justin, I'd say thank you for calling, but I'm trying not to lie this year. Fuck off. I don't like, if you're going to sit there and whine, and by the way, people, as the way things go here is I've been doing this for a while, you haven't. And that's fine. You're not a professional conversationalist. When I'm hearing a person just go on, and trust me, I digress. I go the wrong places. If a caller was calling and was actually like sufficiently able to referee me, I would have them. But unfortunately, somebody like Justin is not. You are going off in ill-productive places and you are repeating the exact same point. My job is literally to keep things on track. And I do not give a fuck if you're going to call in and whine that you're not being heard. And then I sit and I go, fine, you be concise, and you still get 2 paragraphs out before. Sorry to the people who are calling. You can call the next show that we're about to redirect to. But there isn't time for any more because we have to end. Oh, sorry about that. We have to end now because we have another show starting on our other channel, The Line, starting here in 2 minutes. My job is to keep the show on track. You were super not going on track. I decided to give you the space. You did a paragraph, didn't let me get a fucking sentence out. Justin, you are terrible at this. Shut the fuck up if you're going to ask for that kind of shit. And I'm going to make an exception for you and ask you to be quick. And then you just, boom, immediately jump over. I give a fucking shit. Tell me why Jimmy isn't bringing up MAGA cities. I don't need to. I mean, we can definitely talk about, there's plenty of MAGA states, especially. MAGA cities tend to be smaller. Proximity is a contributor to crime. So if you have proximity and poverty, crime goes up. Larger areas, larger cities tend to be more democratic because you're actually exposed to your neighbor. Conservatism comes with a sense of isolation that me and my family, and sometimes just me, are the only things that are important. Justin, you can try again someday when you want to not be a fucking hypocrite. But that was so fucking annoying. And by the way, you can sit there and whine, but literally the call before you, we proved even a person who disagrees, we can have a completely, and the show before you yesterday was almost too wholesome. As long as everybody doesn't fucking decide they're calling in and that this is their audience that they've summoned and they're going to get their thing in and just gish gallop the whole time. Everybody gets to have a great time together. But I'm not putting up with this fucking bullshit where they're just going to scream and yell. So next time, call in and justify your fascism, because I'm positive you're a fascist. Let's see. How have you all been doing with Justin in chat? Oh, it's 6 o'clock. All right. I'm going to now send you over to Arden, and I can't remember how to say her name. It's like Mama Mephistopheles. It's some demon that I was supposed to know, but I'm queer, but I'm not that queer. Knowing all the demons' names. Come on, people. Arden was like, you should know this demon. But do go watch them. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's over on The Line right now. Goodbye, everybody.